And we have Gita Wirjawan, who is the chairman of Indonesia's Investment Coordinating Board, joining us once again from Jakarta. Gita, good to have you on. First off, let me just get your thoughts on what you've been hearing about the global economy itself. You know, we have debt issues in the Eurozone, also in the U.S., and now Dr. Doom saying that we could see a perfect storm in 2013, stunting growth.
I think it's the kind of observation that we have sort of like gone through many years ago. But if you look at Indonesia, I think fiscally speaking, we're in a pretty sound position with a debt to GDP ratio of 26%. And also from a monetary standpoint, I think we can claim to be somewhat having the monetary stability that perhaps some countries would like to have. And I think Indonesia is a little bit different by virtue of just the fact that we went through this difficulty, you know, about 11 or 12 years ago at the peak of the Asian financial crisis, as such that we've become a lot more prudent. And I think this is going to be good for us to, you know, in terms of increasing our capacity in weathering any storm that may come across.
Okay, Gita, two usual, I guess, complaints about Indonesia, doing business in Indonesia from foreign business owners. They want to talk about corruption and infrastructure. How do you address these two issues?
Right. I think corruption is an area where anybody has got to really take a long-term view in any place. You know, it took Hong Kong many years to basically significantly reduce corruption. And Indonesia, to be quite honest, I think we've been on the, you know, on the right path in terms of trying to weed out corruption. You know, there's been hundreds of people in Indonesia that have been put to jail in the last 5-6 years. And I think people are getting it in terms of what needs to be done to make sure that Indonesia becomes a lot more hospitable. And I think as people get more educated in this country, I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to embrace the 21st century paradigm.
Okay, Gita,
and
let's talk
on
about
infrastructure, I think it's...
let's talk. I guess that ties into my next question about investment as well, because yeah, you talked about these big companies, NEC, Coca-Cola,
right.
P&G, looking to invest more dollars. I mean, how much are you going to see this year and next?
Well, last year we experienced close to 60% rise in realized investments compared to the year before. This year we're certainly detecting the same kind of momentum as we did last year, and what we're focused on is basically getting everybody to get excited about, you know, building the infrastructure, which is really key for us, and that's not just the soft part of it, but it's also the hard part of it in terms of building the roads, the railroads, the power generation, and ports and airports, for which the government is actually already allocating, you know, significant amount of money from a fiscal standpoint. It's going to be about 50 to 60 billion US in terms of fiscal allocation for the next 5 years, with which I think we can start really thinking about industrializing Indonesia on a large scale basis. And for that, I think we're talking to the right audience and people who have looked at Indonesia a lot more proactively than before.
Hey, Gita, what about these foreign property ownership rules? You know, you have a lot of foreigners that want to buy their houses in Bali and other parts of Indonesia. When is that going to change? When are they going to actually be allowed to own land?
That's going to come soon. We've actually pushed a bill to the Parliament as of last December. I think the government regulation, which will detail out, you know, the specifics, I think should come out in the next 6 months to a year. This is on top of some of the other institutional reforms that the government is working on. Notably, the first one is the land law, which will, I think, give certainty to any investor in terms of the timing and the pricing with which they have to, you know, undertake when they want to basically build infrastructure projects in Indonesia. And we're also taking a deep dive into trying to revise the presidential decrees on tender regulations, and which I hope will entail a lot more flexibility for people to look at Indonesia with.
All right, Gita, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the World Economic Forum. That's Gita Wirjawan of the Coordinating Investment Board in Indonesia.